Alright, hello everybody. We should be live. Happy Sunday. Happy Groundhog's Day. Let me check the channel on YouTube real quick. Make sure we're live. There
Hello,
we are.
Everybody. We should be live.
Alright everyone, I'm going to go ahead and post this onto our Discord and X and then we'll get started. Can't believe it's already February. Alright, I hope everyone survived last week. It sure looked like last week was really a pretty brutal week with all the red news. And it just did not ease up on the chop. And I assume some of that's probably carrying over into today's price action. Alright, so everyone read the disclaimer. There's a little bit of a more detailed version on the Discord and on the website if you want to jump on there and read it. It's good to do, just so you know what you're getting into. Let's go ahead, before we tune the indicators, let's look at, oh my word. Whoa. Okay, so this is my first time looking at this today. And wow. Wow. So I expected a return to this fib zone here earlier last week. But holy cow, we gapped down. A massive gap down. Yikes. Okay, so that's not good for the bulls at all. That means there's probably some bearish follow through that could come through here, but it has been just mindlessly choppy as well. And it's hard to pin it down to much of what the chop is exactly. I keep hearing people say it's this and that, but I'll be honest, I don't think there's really a black and white answer on it. I think it's just kind of the way it is right now. We've got the Trump administration doing a lot of crazy stuff with who they're putting in, and then it's going through these Senate hearings, and I'm not going to keep up with that or get into it, but a lot of that stuff is it's causing some commotion there, and I think that's affecting the market a little. And then on the other side of things, we've got these plane crashes and stuff that happened last week, and I don't know if that's going to affect it or not, but it seems like we just had a lot of weird news. And really, I've heard a few people say this is just kind of expected right now, which is really kind of weird because normally we see January, February through May. Those months are usually trend months in the bullish direction, so this has not been quite the normal year at all. But I don't know. I mean, with last year, who knows what'll happen this year? So I guess we'll just have to play it by ear and follow what our indicators tell us. So if I had to say what I'm expecting now, I'm feeling bearish. Although it's a cautious bearish because it would need to really prove itself past this pivot right here for me. And if it can break through this pivot with strength and take out this low without just looking like it's going to come down, sweep the low, and then bounce again, then I would probably be a little more bearish. I'm thinking right here we're probably going to aim to this pivot, maybe a little lower, possibly hit this low here even. And then it'll probably bounce. I don't know for sure, of course, but that's my guess. And this is the 4-hour chart for those wondering. We can go ahead and add a few more days to this chart. Maybe it'll help us get a little bit more of a backstory here. And take a drink while we're watching this load. Alright, so the next level past here, it looks like goes down to about here in the 2350 zone area. We might have to load a few more days to see if we had anything else that looked good there. We'll go to 125 days on the 4-hour chart. I normally wouldn't load this many days on a normal chart, but the 4-hour chart's a little more lenient on it. So, alright, so we do have a couple zones down here. So if we break this zone here, and I'm kind of thinking we will. I maybe, I hope I'm wrong, but it looks like that's what could happen after this giant gap down through here, unless news just completely reverses. So it's been wild. It could pivot and reverse right here. I don't know. But if it does break this zone with some strength, I would think we're down in this area next, but that's, you know, just a guess at this point. It's been a pretty wild market. So last week, it looks like we've actually decayed even more on the momentum. So, and some of that's because we did change the bands to a new version. And so I didn't think about that at the time, but I did do enough changes that it probably affected our settings. So that's something to watch out for whenever you do upgrade from one version of a indicator to another. It can affect your templates, and I'm sure this one actually did. So just be cautious of that whenever you do. So let's go ahead. We'll go ahead and try to get the CWAP back into action here, because right now we're not looking very good on the CWAP, and I'm going to take this to 10 days. I think I set it to 5, yeah. I did. So our goal here is to try to tune to 10 days, and then we'll set it to 5, and we are going to set a win rate minimum, so that if it does decay past a certain win rate, we are no longer going to let this trade for us. And we will avoid some downfall for that. So let's go ahead. We'll jump into the CWAP first. And it looks interesting. I thought we set it different last time. I almost know we did. I don't think I have the same CWAP setting on. Let's just try a couple of these first. That's, yeah, this threshold there's wrong. No, I don't know what happened here. I may have lost my templates. I don't know how. Let's try this template here. It's not changing my threshold, so I don't think it's actually working. There's no way that's working. I didn't change much in this CWAP, so I don't know why. I don't know why it's not working on the templates, but it does appear that the templates are not changing, so I may have to just start from scratch, which that's not too big of a deal. Let's see here. Last tune in December. We'll try that one. Yeah, that one is definitely a flop for the new year here. We'll go back to early December. That did change. At least the threshold changed. Back in the 115 threshold, so I'm not a fan of that at all. So what we'll do here is we will reset the CWAP. And that is how it looked, I think, originally. So we honestly didn't appear to have any tuning on it at all. So I don't know what happened. I may have actually lost some of the tuning templates or something whenever I upgraded the suite, I'm assuming. So what we'll do is we'll just give it a new tune. We'll start with threshold of 1.13 or 1.35. See if we can't get this threshold to be a little bit kinder to us on our win rate. Yeah, we'll bump up the ATR input. This is just how many. It's already sinking pretty hard here behind me. I can see that. It'd be nice to get in a momentum trade here, but we're gonna have to wait. Yeah, we're not seeing any improvement yet. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to try to bump some things up here, because we are losing trades, but we're not gaining momentum where I want to gain it. So 43% still pretty low. And so to make this work, we're going to bump this up here. We'll try to look back of some different settings here. And this is how many bars back this looks to try to depict where it's going on different trends. And so a higher setting can be better, especially in volatile markets where it's moving. Yeah, so we're up to 48% now. Let's put it at 200. I don't want to go much higher than 200. Yeah, so we actually lost the win rate. So it looks like our sweet spot's probably 150 on that. We had it at 48%. There's 50 trades in 10 days. That's pretty good. We're going to go ahead and move the bars a go requirement. We might move it up, but I'm going to try going down first. Well, hold on. I'll hold the phone here, guys. 60%. I'm not hating that. Actually, I like that a lot. We've got 24 wins and 16 losses. What is our take profit set to right now? 50. Let's try 55. And see if we can't get a good indication of this thing moving past 50 ticks. If it's just kind of scalping at 50. Okay, so it did work at 55. Pretty good. It's almost exactly the same. So let's go ahead and do this. Put it at 54. That's about where my bars usually go on size. Let's skip this song. I'm not a big fan of that one. Too many tickies. Alright, so we do have 60% win rate still at 54. And I'm going to bump this up to almost a 1-to-1. I'm sorry, 2-to-1. With 100 take profit. And I want to see how many trends this is really catching. Okay, so it did lose profit. But, okay, so a 35% win rate for a 2-to-1. So we definitely aren't making profit, but we are still doing fairly well for a 2-to-1. If I put this at 50, it might actually still win. So it's not quite winning, but that's okay. We're going to go to 54 stop and put this at 75 take profit and see what that gives us. Let's see if these moves are actually going much further than 50 ticks. Yeah, we ended up green. We're at a 47% win rate, but being green with that is not bad. And okay, so with an offset of 16 ticks, we're at a 50% win rate in 2020. It's still winning pretty good because we're taking our profit at 70 ticks instead of 54. So we are still making these decent trend catches. It's not my favorite, but it's enough to say we're probably in the realm of something decent here. We'll take a look here in a second. I'm going to change the look back bar here. The look back bar is to 5 from 6. We'll go to 4. This is how many bars back the predictor has to be on point for it to work. Let's see here. Does not look like being less laggy is working for it, and that is because of the chop. So when you see these really choppy markets, like it's been, slower indicators generally keep you out of those dangerous trades a little better. From my experience anyway, and that seems to be what's happening here with the 6 look back. I assume if we go somewhere a little higher, we'll see another return to profit in this area. Probably at 12. 11, okay. So we hit it in 11, 55% win rate. 12, we'll probably see it in this area too, but maybe not. Now it sunk back down, so 6 is where it is, and then it returns about 11. 6 is a little bit quicker, so it is hitting it a little faster, and that's how many bars back that predictor is counting from to make sure it's kind of double checking on the trend. So, alright, now that we have a little bit of profit on the board with the CWAP, well, let's see if we can adjust a couple things here. Instead of 1.5, let's do 2. Put that re-anchor point just a little bit out of reach here. That went up a little. Make it 3. We're losing trades. Hope we don't lose too many trades here to go up a little higher. 1.2 seems to be the sweet spot so far. Keep going up a little bit more. We'll see if we can adjust just a little higher. Go to 5. Yeah, we're not getting much more out of it at this point. 2's where the edge was, so I'll stick with 2. We did put the threshold of the ATR a little higher, so it's a little bit smoother. Let's see what else we can do. We could actually move the Bollinger a little further out too, just to really pinch it out. 1.5 on the deviation. Let's see here. That put us at 65%. That's pretty good. I don't know if raising the Bollinger is going to do much. It might give us an edge. We're just kind of... We're fighting through that chop last week, and we want to make sure we've got a good, kind of resilient setting here for going into another week. This week, hopefully, is not as brutal as last week. Last week seemed like it was just endless, the news and everything. So let's go ahead. I think I'm pretty happy with our original setting of 18. Our 20, was it 20? No, 18. 18's looking really good. We got 65% up on the board. That means almost 2 out of 3 trades should technically win out of the gate if we're accurate on our tuning here. Let's go ahead. Let's pull up the news before we do another indicator. I want to make sure we're getting into a week that we are aware of. Hopefully we don't have that much news coming up. Alright. It looks like Monday is clean till about lunch. Just a little, there's a orange news and then red news at lunch, and it is ISM manufacturing PMI, so that could be a pretty dangerous news cycle there. Then we got Tuesday, more red news. That's a JOLTS jobs news. Then Wednesday we got news at 8:15. Make sure you filter these out, especially if you're using the Predator. You can use the time skip filters on Predator to filter these out for you, so you don't have to worry about jumping in and out of trades on these news events. Okay, so in Thursday we got unemployment, and then Friday. So we have a really pretty heavy red news week. Hopefully it's not like last week. Last week it just tore up the market. It couldn't really find a steady way to go up or down, and it just jolted everywhere. So we'll go ahead and keep on tuning with that in mind and try to get a resilient setting. One thing I am going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and filter the signals by win rate. And what this is for is right here, if you look at this little setting, you can set which win rate you want to require for the signals to even print on the chart. And so if you put that at, say, I'm going to put it at 47, and I'll save the template. CWAP, and it is February 2nd. Happy Groundhog's Day. And we'll go ahead and hit OK, and we'll look at some stuff in the background here. And what we'll do is we'll put on the exit, so it'll still show the exit part of the indicator as the dash. Let's see right here. And that way we'll see where the trade was, but we won't necessarily have entered the trade because it would only have, see, like there's a signal and there's the exit, and that's good to see. So these recent ones are the winners. That's what we want. We want more recent winners, and somehow that made the win rate even better. Okay, so we're there. And I can tell you right now the CWAP has a setting called auto scale turned on. You can hit OK and turn that off, and it will no longer force it to show the VWAP portion of the CWAP if you want to have your chart scale normally with the CWAP on. Alright, I'm looking back. I don't see a lot of losses on the CWAP here in the recent history. There's a win. That's a crazy win. Right there at the top of that peak. Hardly a win, but it's a win. And I have the momentum turned on as well. We'll turn those off just to look at CWAPs. Turn the exit off. And we'll look at a few more. The shark fin's turned on too. Goodness, I had them all turned on. There's a CWAP exit here, the W to win, so it entered here, exited here. And so if it fell below the 47% win rate, what it would do is this signal would not print. Even though it had the criteria to print, it wouldn't do it. And so that minimum win rate, if you're using a bot like Predator to adopt your signals, like I do, if the signal rate does decay because of several news events or something, or if it just goes nuts and just doesn't, I mean, signals do decay, markets do change. This is one way to kind of prevent and hedge just a little bit of that downside that might come with it. So it will be based off of whatever chart data is showing. So if I shrink this, say, to 5 days, which I will for the week, it's going to probably show a different win rate. Holy smokes. So in the last 5 days, this thing's had an 85% win rate. And so if I thought it might shrink it, but that's actually interesting that it's that high. That's crazy. So if it did happen to just sink down to that 47% rate, I'm actually going to raise that a bit, because I think it would have to decay a lot right now. And I don't want to face the decay that bad. I think 55% or something is probably better for me. But if it does sink that low, I don't want to eat the losses that go down with it. So it's one way to kind of help prevent a little bit of downside if your signals just fall out of tune, which it happens. I mean, every indicator is going to work better with a tune in different market conditions, and news can definitely change the characteristic of the market, and this is kind of a way to help prevent a little bit of that downfall. So this is kind of shocking. I didn't expect that to hold up with that good of a tune. So we'll see how it does this week. It's almost too good to be true kind of thing. So we'll see, right? All right, let's go ahead. We'll jump into the bands next. And I am working on doing some new updates for the bands still. Hopefully I can get some new settings that really rock the bands a little bit more. Although I did fall on these signals for the end of the week for the first entries. I normally don't, but they were the only ones holding up, and they really, really paid off for me. So Monday and Friday were good days, and I had a few losers in the middle of the week. I think I ended the week green or break even, so I'm not going to complain too much. It just kind of, it goes that way sometimes. I've had several weeks in a row green. I can't complain too much to have a red or slightly red week, or even a break even week. That's, you know, it's going to happen to everyone trading, so you just have to kind of learn to just accept that is part of trading. You don't always have a winner, unfortunately. Alright, so let's go ahead. We'll put this to 54 on the take profit and stop loss here for the momentum. That didn't really affect it though. That's interesting. Did I set the right one? I had to have. Okay, yep, that is. Alright, so let's do a few different things. Our win rate here is atrocious. And I don't know exactly what happened here last week, but it looks like the momentum signals just could not cut it. So we're going to try a few things. We're going to try to open up the BPMs, those bars per minute, and just see if we can't find a better place of profitability here. There we go. Alright, so when the market was moving under 10 bars per minute on my chart, which is the ARC Renko BXT chart, the bars per minute 10 and under was actually paying off. Let's drop it to 8. See if it was just a speed thing. Maybe it was flying too fast and getting too choppy. Yep. Alright, so 10 trades. That's not too bad. I think I'm set to 5 days too. Yeah, set that back to 10. Yeah, we'll set it to 10 just to kind of get a bigger window. That way we get the chop and we get the slightly better price action the week before. Okay, there we go. So now we're tuning to two very different styles of market conditions. And we'll go down to try a few things here. I have a feeling that the bars per minute under 10 is probably in the area I'm thinking I want it. Usually, in that area, it usually does pretty good. And we have, how many trades is this? 13 plus 16. That's just about 30 something. That's not quite 30. It's right there at 30, 29. I guess that's a fair sample. I mean, for 10 days. It's more than 2 trades a day, and it's really close to 3. So I'm gonna say that's probably gonna give us a pretty decent sampling. So let's go ahead, see if we can't tune this a little better here. I'm thinking about changing the momentum band, just see if we can't maybe make it a little slower, or if it needs to be faster, so that way we get in and out a little quicker. Try a few settings here on the faster side, and then we'll bump it up. That's interesting. It's actually a losing rate. Okay, so let's go to 15. Yeah, looks like we're dropping trades slightly and we're not getting any better entries, so let's go ahead and go to 16. Yeah, 16 didn't work any better. I bet you 11 being so fast might be profitable. So you're gonna see a lot more signals though, I'm sure. Yeah, it is. Okay, so 11's really fast, but it is profitable, so I'm tempted to leave it right there on the momentum band and then see if we can't tune around it. Let's try a few things. First, let's do the momentum filter here. I mean the ADX filter. Let's try pushing that up to like at least 15. And what are we gonna get here out of 15? It didn't do any better. Alright, so let's try 20. Make that threshold on the bottom really I mean a little higher. Alright, try 25. Let's see if we can't really squeeze out this chop. The ADX usually does a pretty good job of squeezing some chop out, so I have a feeling we're just not squeezing the right chop out because it's so fast. I wonder if that would have worked with a 14 here on the pressure band, or even a 12, somewhere in between. And we are battling the chop pretty viciously here. Yeah, there we go. All right, so that barely gets us into profit. Maybe try a 20 on the ADX, make that threshold just in the middle of what we had. See if that doesn't give us some options. Okay, so 56%. We're getting better for sure. And I did use the minimum win rate filter here before. I'm definitely keeping that on. This could easily decay. It's only 6% above a 50% win rate at this point. I don't love that. I mean, to be honest, it's not my favorite at all. So let's see here. I think our other option here is to try and bump up the stop loss and the take profit to see if we aren't really hitting some good trends. We'll start with 60. We might even bump it to 70, somewhere in that range, and just see if we aren't somewhere in a profitable state if we widen these, and that would tell us, okay, we're at least catching good momentum moves that are really taking off. That's interesting. We're not doing it, but let's try 100 and 100. Give it a lot of room to breathe. Not great. Still about the same. Man, it's kind of a disappointment, to be honest. Wonder if we did this. 150 and 150. That's got to change something. Goodness. So it is catching the right, at least looks like it's catching the right direction. So I'm not going to complain too bad if it's catching the direction that way. It just seems like there's a lot of chop in the market, and usually the best way to avoid that is to use an indicator like the ADX with a really high setting on the threshold and make it really work for even entering. So I don't love doing that because you do cut a ton of trades out that are actually good trades still, but it could help in this case. So let's see if we can't get a good setting. Yeah, it doesn't really look great on any of these, and so we're gonna try a couple things else. Let's try the minimum range setting here. Put it to 25 instead of 18. And see if we can't get the range filter to maybe work for us just a pinch. Try 50. Yeah, okay, so the 50 here looks like it kicks some butt. In fact, it's got a 100% win rate, but 5 trades. So I don't know. I'm gonna go to 40, see if we can't find a medium ground with more trades. Okay, so there we are. We got 6 wins and 3 losses. That's definitely better. That's in the realm of what I would consider good. Let's see if we can do anything better by disabling the bias mode on the EMAs. That's where the fast has to be above the slow for longs. And then it has to, okay, so that's not working there. And then the fast would be below the slow for shorts for the enforced bias mode. At this point, neither really did much, so definitely want to use the minimum win rate again. I think I'm going to leave it at 50% here. I'm tempted to drop maybe to 48, but I think 50, that's probably about good. If it goes under 50, it can disable those. We'll go ahead and set that. You may take separations, only 20, but I mean, I feel like let's do 25. Means it really has to be pretty separate at 25. That might help. Do 50. I just want to see if this pushes it up any. Yeah, okay. Well, it's not an ideal setting, but it definitely helped to go a little higher, so I'm going to leave it probably right about there. The max tick separation, I think at this point we could probably even open this up. Try 100. Holy cow. Ah, that's a jackpot. I really hope I hope that's real. That's crazy. Okay, so opening up the max tip separation definitely gave us a much better setting. So I'm gonna save that one. I mean, that is a beaut right there. So I'm gonna save her and we'll call that a day on the momentum. Let's see, where's the setting so we could save something quick over it. We'll just use this. February 2nd, 2025, tune Chompsky band setting. Yeah, okay, there we go. And let's work on a little bit of the reversals here, because right now the reversals are not beautiful. The first entries actually did amazing on Friday. I think I was up to some ridiculous amount for a while, and then it kind of retraced a bit, but did a lot better than I thought they would. They held up, so let's see here. We can try a few things. We can change the threshold. Let's try the CWAP successful one here to 1.2. And we'll even raise this one up a little bit. I don't want to DK our first entries too bad though, because they did a great job. Reversal power, we'll try 13 here. Yeah, we'll try 14, make it a little harder. Well, nothing really looking too different to me. I mean, we definitely increased the win rate here on these. I might keep it there. What was that set to? 14 or 15? I think it was 15. Just gonna have to try it. 63, yeah, 14, I guess. Okay, so we definitely have a good sample rate too. 92 trades, 52 trades. Yeah, it looks like it to get to a 1-to-1 though. It takes a little bit more. So what we'll do here is instead of an exit band of 18, we're going to try an exit band of 20, and we will see if that doesn't give us just a little bit more profit on those exits. That did drop the win rate slightly, but it does get us closer to the 1-to-1 ratio. And the 1-to-1 ratio is going to be a lot harder on this because the exit band it'll vary, especially with these choppy markets. It makes it a lot harder to get to that exit band. So, and it looks like 26 is going to be the 1-to-1 here on the first entries. Yep. Okay, so there's a 1-to-1 on the first entries. We're about 4% up on the wins, and the second entries are not quite there. Although it could just be kind of a wash in the variables. And you will have some of that, so no matter what you do, you're never going to make it perfect. It's always going to have some variation to it. That's why I like to see some kind of setting that's pretty outstanding for the market that you're looking at. Alright, so the inner band, if we tweak it to about 1.25 right here, we do get a profitable rate here on the second entries, which I'm pretty happy with. I am going to go ahead and drop that the exit band just a pinch more again. I want to see if we cannot kind of find a happy medium here. It doesn't have to be a 1-to-1. I just want to make sure they're profitable, but also have a fairly good win rate to maybe kind of get past some of this chop and nonsense that's been going on. Try 20. And we'll even drop it back to 18 because the first entries were rocking on the 18. And it looks like we do lose profitability if we do that, so we'll go ahead and try the opposite direction. We'll go to 30. And if 30 is the way to go, we'll stick with 30. And 30 is a little bit more than 1-to-1. And it does drop below 50% on the first entries. However, we do stay above on the second entries. Not quite as good as risk to reward ratio, but win rate really kicked it out of the park here for that. Well, I'd say it did good on that. Maybe not out of the park. That's tempting to leave it there. Let's try 1.3 on the band here. I have a feeling there's a setting in here it's just gonna rock. Yeah, it's getting close. That's a little better. That's actually pretty good. We're almost to 54%, and we're over a 1-to-1 ratio here, and we're well over here. It's 1.25 here, so I think we're getting in that zone I want to be in. Now, out of curiosity, I'm gonna bump this to 40, and I just want to see if a really good risk to reward ratio doesn't kind of manifest here. 1.5, 43%. So we do lose profitability at some point on the second entries, unfortunately. Not too surprised. It looks like 35 is about probably where you're gonna end up at the highest. So I'm gonna say 30 is probably in the realistic zone. Not pie in the sky. It's not heavenly. Hopefully it doesn't decay. The other thing we haven't touched yet is the BPMs. Let's go ahead and drop the 5 to a 0 here on the low end and see what our bars per minute will open up for us. And it doesn't look like it did a lot, but it did actually... It did give us a lot more trades. And our overall risk to reward ratio did go up, but our win rate went down on second entry. So not loving it, but I'm not hating it either. So let's try something in between, maybe just a 1 here. I'm kind of surprised we moved that much there, just from 5 points on the BPMs. Try 2 and try 3. Give it a second to load. So it looks like 1 through 3 is just not doing great on the second entries. It's about the same on the first entries as it was before. We set it to a 4. There's a 4. It looks like 4 is not doing much else. Let's go 5. 5's where the magic happens and you start really seeing some good results. Let's drop this from a 17 to 15. See if we are losing any wins here if we get too hot on the BPMs. Yeah, we gained a little bit of points there, so let's drop it to 10. Maybe the 5 to 10 windows are window for... Yeah, wow. So that pulled our second entries to 60%. That's a little better. Our sample rate's about 25 total trades, and it's not looking very bad at all. I kind of like it. Our first entries are a winner as well, and they are over a 1-to-1 ratio at 50%. I would like to see that slightly higher personally. It is hard for me to take first entries most of the time unless they just rock. I normally trust the second attempt more, so that's me. You're more than welcome to, do something else, but let's see. Let's turn on the engulfing mode. We don't usually try this one, but it's because it usually engulfs anyways. That's funny. It actually made it lower. I'm gonna keep it on there. And as far as I'm looking right now, I think we're pretty solid on the second entries. First entries, I'm not too worried about. They usually decay just because first entries are not my entry anyway. Most of the time, unless they just trend in the upward direction. Let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to take the data series down to 5 days, and we're going to look at the band tunings and see how they've done over the last 5 days. Have they gotten better or worse, or they stayed the same? And it looks like they've mostly stayed either the same or slightly decayed, and that could be a bad sign actually. So not that we want to cast doom and gloom, but if they're trending in that direction, they certainly could keep trending in that direction, so we'll keep an eye on these. However, the momentum stayed really hot, so I'm not too worried about the momentum right now. That's almost, just looking at it, that's kind of what I want to take. And we'll take a look at a few of those momentum trades here. We'll go in there and turn on the exit and turn off the CWAP exit so we don't get confused. And we'll show the exit, no. We'll show the exit for the momentum. Yes. And it looks like we had one right during our session, I think. If I'm not mistaken, that was where we started. And I think I was talking about wanting to go in here, but not while we're tuning on a live video. That would not be smart. It would have lost. Holy cow, what happened through this market? I guess when it opened and gapped, it warped the bands pretty good. Look at that. That is a huge gap. What's our total here? It's funny, I gapped at my line I drew as a target the other day. 371 points. That's pretty. I think it's impressive. I haven't seen a lot of gaps like that, so it's pretty crazy. All right, so let's look at some of these signals. First entry didn't exit, but it did hit the band. Second entry lost and then hits an exit. So we did lose, and we have a winner here. First entries are doing okay. That's not a first entry, that's a CWAP. This is a first entry. No, second entry. First entry lost. Okay, so let's look for more momentum. There are not a lot of momentums. 9 signals over 5 days. There's one. It's not a wonderful trade, but it is a good trade. A winning trade's a good trade. That was a shark fin, by the way. Okay, so here's another shark fin. The one. This one right here is a momentum signal. I like where it's entering. If I saw this on a live chart, I would probably take this. It'd be risky because you're going right into this high, but assuming all my other indicators were good with this test, it broke, retested, came up here at the highs here, pulled back, and then went for another round up high, and it took out the highs and just ran. That's a pretty good signal in my opinion. Alright, we've got one here. So it looks to me like we have this thing at the moment capturing some pretty good signals in these market conditions, which as long as they don't change too drastically, we should be able to kind of keep this and keep rolling with it, and that's the goal, right? So I think I'm happy with those. I am tempted to take the exits a little sooner on the first and second entries. It looks to me like we had a lot of entries that were really close. I'm going to drop it to like 28 here and see what happens on the band. And it may need to go to like 25 or something, but it was close. And we go to 25, we lose it. Let's try 14 because that's almost the direct opposite side there. See what we get. 80% win rate on the second entries. Let's try about 16. Of course, that's not even a full half. Well, it's 0.5 to 1. And if we go to 16, it drops 14 points. So it's just barely hitting those bands and then running. So that's tempting to still try that band-to-band exit. Just because you almost have, I mean, you do have an 80% win rate. Let's check this out here on the data series of 10 days. Alright, so it looks like 83% over the course of 10 days. So this is, I might leave this on here for now, just because this does kind of have that look to it that it could be a great way to maybe scalp some off throughout the week if the market conditions are not clearly trending, or if we lose some of the value of our other win rates. And so that's something I'm going to kind of keep in my back pocket. You can choose to do what you want with that, or you can widen that exit band and go the way you want to go. That's up to you. I'm going to save it right there just like that though. And that's kind of a backup plan for that signal for me. And just be aware when you scalp, you're taking a risk of losing 2 to every 1 you win, so you have to win more than you lose by at least 2 to be profitable. And that can be a tricky psychological game, so if you're losing a lot in a weird market or something, it can really throw you off. A lot of people can't deal with that, so just keep that in your mind whenever you do use a setting like that. It can backfire, yeah, psychologically, if you don't know what you're getting into. So alright, so what else do we need to do here? Minimum win rate. So I'm going to leave this, I'm going to set it up a little higher for me just because I'm using this. I'm going to say if this thing falls below 66%, it's going to be really hard for me to win on that. So I'm going to leave the minimum win rate for this one at 66%. And we will try to keep an eye on that throughout the week. Alright, so last but not least, we're going to touch the shark fin now. And the shark fins did not do terribly. I think we're set to 10 days. I'm pretty sure we're set to 10 days. So we'll go ahead and start tuning this. 58% isn't horrible. Let's see if we can't make it a little better. What do we want to do first? I think what I want to do first here is maybe just try to adjust our thresholds. We don't have a lot of trades. If I'm not looking at this right here, it's behind the bars. Let this load. We'll move it over here. So shark fins have 7 wins, 5 losses right now. That's based out of last week's settings. So they did okay. They actually were profitable. I think I caught 2 or 3 overnight on Monday, and I think all of them were winners, so I ended up with a really nice start of the week last week. Just letting them run overnight. Okay, so 75 and 35 thresholds really shined on the shark fin here. In fact, I may leave it right there. That's a 70% win rate. I'm going to turn on the minimum win rate to 55%. So if it does, if it does decay bad, I might even set it to 50 because there are only 10 trades, so it could decay quickly, especially over the course of 5 days. So I think 50 and under, I'm going to stop taking those. But let's try this. Let's see. We do have the minute-based chart verification on. I'm wondering if we don't adjust this slightly to maybe a 5-minute chart. It's on 7. So the 5-minute verification chart is actually helping us here. It did bump it up to 76% win rate. Should we be greedy? Try some other charts. We lost win rate there on the 4-minute. Let's just do a 3 and try these 1-minute chart time frames down here. See if we can't find a hidden gem that's better than 76 somehow. And I have a feeling we're not, but we'll still try. And the 1 minute. Alright, so 5 minutes obviously smoking the others right now. We're going to go ahead and just run with that. That's 13 trades over a course of 10 days. Last week we did have some crazy price action, so some of that could be in the mix of that. We'll check it out. Go ahead and save it first. We'll save it as February 2nd. Tuned shark fins. Let's check this out. Alright, so I'm not seeing any here on this chart today. That's alright. Still got the momentum exits on. We could turn those off real quick. It's good to turn them off anyways. They do clutter up the data log if you're not paying attention. So, all right, we do have some shark fins here. We got a dot here. We got a dot there. It looks like it is taking kind of an extra effort to get to that extension to where it is getting oversold. And that's what we want to see. We want to see those points to hit in those areas. Now this isn't a bad area up here. It did call a win, but it didn't call the top. But it was right there by it. So I'm not going to knock it for being that close. It seems like the market is seeing those areas as potential reversal areas. They're not always going to be perfect, but you will get some good ones. There's a great one. Wow. And there's a great one too. That actually is an awesome shark fin there. That's an okay shark fin. Not super thrilled about that. Other than I like that it did it right at the VWAP. And I like solid bounces off of things like VWAPs when they happen. They're pretty cool. This is a great one here. We'll look at one or two more and we'll say, yeah, we're good with it. We know the win rate's really high, so 76% out of the gate. I don't know, to me it's hard to complain too much. Let me make sure I am on the 10-day data series. We are. We're gonna drop it to 5 just to see what the shark fins did in the last 5. And it looks like, just like the CWAP, they went up. So I'm gonna say we've got our settings. I'll post these to the Discord. With a fair warning, use these at your own risk. There's no guarantee that the win rate won't decay. Markets lately have been pretty volatile. We got a huge red news week. Those are the worst for keeping the market characteristics the same. So, trade cautiously, and if you're going to use these, keep an eye on it because it could easily just flip in the other direction. So, but that win rate, minimum win rate setting should help kind of deter some downside a little bit for you guys. So if it does happen, be cautious. Maybe look into using that win rate minimum so you guys can avoid getting headaches like that. So And then another thing about that minimum win rate is I set my chart to 5 days, so it does rotate through the days on the win rate. So you'll drop a day every day and gain the new one. And so that win rate will change pretty drastically versus if you leave it on 10 days or a month or something, it takes a lot to get that win rate to actually drop. So since it's looking at the available data on the current chart, that's what you want to use for filtering that win rate. And you might come in and maybe even just hit F5 every day and reload your chart just to make sure it cycles that data in and out properly. It should do it, but there's times where the NinjaTrader can hold it, so if it gets indexed or something, it's stuck. So just keep that in your mind, and I think going in the week with a cautious eye is the way to go this week, guys. I'm wishing you success and good luck to everybody. I hope you have a great trading week.